Welcome to part two of our conversation on dealing with chronic pain, featuring special guest Michael O'Neill. In part one, Michael explained why chronic pain can feel like a never-ending battle. And today, he's going to share with you the steps you can take to find the right help so you can not just get rid of the pain, but to stay healthy long term. And that's coming up next, right here on Own Your Calendar. Welcome to Own Your Calendar, the go-to resource for online business owners, coaches, and course creators who want it all: a profitable business and the time and energy for yourself and the people and things you love most. I'm your host, Stephen Box, and I'm here to help you build the systems and habits that allow you to escape the chaos and start living life on your terms. Welcome back to another episode of Own Your Calendar, brought to you by Unshakable Habits. I am your host, Stephen Box, and today I'm joined again for part two of my conversation with Michael O'Neill, the founder of Reform Health and Performance in Birmingham, Alabama. Michael, in part one, you explained the impact of chronic pain, both physically and emotionally, not just on the person who's experiencing the pain, but also on those around them. You also touched on how the healthcare system can actually lead to what you called the forest, where people end up feeling lost, overwhelmed, and unsure where to turn next. Before we dive deeper into that, I'd love to revisit the topic of quick fixes. And look, I get it. Nobody wants to be in pain. And when you've got a pill that promises relief in 30 minutes, it's tempting to just take it and move on with life. And maybe even more so when you're looking at this forest that we talked about, when you're trying to navigate that forest and figure out the root cause of the problem, that quick fix might be even more tempting to just take and just be done with it. So can you explain why relying on quick fixes like that ultimately causes more problems?
Something that I teach to all my clients is the idea of systems over goals. The pill is a goal-oriented behavior. I want the pain in my elbow to stop. Give me a pain-killing pill to make the pain in my elbow stop today. Wake up tomorrow. Give me another pill so that the pain in my elbow stops. If you are narrowly focused on the goal of killing elbow pain, a pill will achieve that goal. If you want elbow health for the rest of your life, a pill is not the solution for a healthy elbow. The pill is the solution for a short-term pain-free or elbow endless pain. But a pill is not a system that creates a healthy, resilient elbow for the rest of your life. What is a system that is going to create a pain-free or at least elbow endless pain, more functional, more resilient elbow for the rest of your life? That system is using your elbow, using groundbreaking stuff here, right? That system is integrating your elbow into exercises that require your elbow to function more elbow-like. Well, then how do you determine what is elbow? Can it rotate? Can it flex and extend? And are there exercises that are capturing those elbow-like qualities, developing those elbow-like qualities? That it's just range of motion, progressive overload. Hey, if it's a little too much too soon and your elbow flares up, then we regress. Do we need to dive in with a little more rehab-y tree focused on the elbow? Sure, but that's where coaching comes into. Hey, my elbow's really hurting on this pull. Okay, we need to eliminate that pull. Maybe there's a little tendonitis because the elbow has not been recovering. Let's regress this upper body exercise so that we're not aggravating the elbow, let the soft tissue recover, and then we can get you back to the full pulling when the elbow is ready. That's the system. And that's what coaching is. Coaching is just guiding people through that system. Coaching is streamlining the decision-making process in that system.
You just hit on something here, and I see it so often. You have successful people, and it's so difficult for them to ask for that help or try to get that guidance, right? It's okay. I just want this solution to make things better. so that I can get back to what I do. And they're, I can go back and do the workout I did when I was in high school or whatever, right? And they think that's all it's going to take. And they're hesitant to ask for coaching because with our current society and the focus on all the quick fixes, I think people have gotten into this idea of, why do I need this system? Why do I need the long-term health, right? It's easy. If you're talking to an entrepreneur about something that's going to help them make more money, they'll invest in that all day long for that ROI, right? It's, hey, I invest this much, I make 10 times as much. Great, I'll do it. But when you start talking about, hey, create these systems that you have healthy knees and healthy elbows and a healthy back, it's harder to see that return on investment for people. And so I love the fact that you really broke down there that, look, you can take the quick fix and get a temporary solution, but that quick fix is only going to work for so long. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you. You're probably honestly doing more damage forcing your way through anyways, right? Because like you said, there's going to be times where you got to go, hey, maybe we need to go to the rehab tree. Maybe we need to go to the rehab tree. And if you're not doing those things, then eventually you're going to find yourself where you can't just take the pill anymore. And now you're forced to find a solution, but the fix at that point is going to be way harder than what it would have been if you had just started sooner.
I had the ironic fortune of experiencing this in my teens. Because what was my goal? Get out of pain so I can kick in the next game. Shoot me up, doc. Shove that needle in my hip. I had the ironic fortune of it not working. They shot me up. I went out to warm up in the game, one of the biggest games of the year, and I missed my first extra point, and the coach pulled me. He was like, hey, buddy, you're not Superman. They put in the backup. Our backup actually ended up hitting a game winner. It was awful, but it was also cool because he was one of my good friends. But my goal was to kill the pain so I could kick. In trying to kill the pain, I ended up not even being able to kick. And that principle maps to everything. Let me get a nerve block injection in my spine so that I can get through this next big trial I have. You might get through that next big trial based on the injections, but what about the next big trial? And the next one? And the next one? And everyone just gets harder. And then what if you're like me? What if you do the injection and the injections don't even? So I didn't even get the benefit, whatever short-term benefits there are of the goals-based approach. I didn't even get that benefit. So I was forced to figure out a system from a very young age. Men especially, my dad and I are the only two men on his side of the family who have not had heart attacks. Now, genetics, environment, fat runs in family, soda frying pans. What's the percentage split on that? I don't know, but does it matter? I can't control that. Whatever the genetics are, all I can control is my behavior. My dad and I are also the two who have been pretty active and not overeaten total garbage our entire lives. I'm a little cleaner than he is. I'm a little more active than he is. But for 64, he's doing all right. And contrasting with the other men on his side of the family, he's doing very well. And I'm doing even better.
But it's not a competition.
Yeah, he gets credit, right? No matter how well I do, he gets a lot of credit for that. I'm not here without him. A lot of men, I've heard older men tell me that age 40 is where your first real report card in life comes in. They're like, you can get away with a lot, especially in your 20s. Come on. If you're in your 20s, you can get away with everything. And then 30s, you can still get by. Waking up in the morning might hurt a little more. You might feel the night before a little longer than you did in your 20s. But when you hit 40, and I'm not 40 yet, so this is what my clients tell me. 40, that's when you get your first real report card on life. Because at that point, you've had it about 10 years to get your stuff together or to let bad habits compound. I have a lot of clients who are in their mid-40s, and they recognize, and I tell them that your 40s is not the last decade of life that you can get healthy. But I think that your 40s, just based on all the people I've trained, your 40s are your last decade to make a drastic turnaround. Of course, the earlier you start, the better. It's never too early to start, and it's always too early to quit. Of course, if you really want to get your health together in your 60s, absolutely do everything you can. But there's something about the decade of the 40s where I see a big separation. People get that report card, and a lot of them make a decision to turn their life around, to take ownership for their health, because they realize that being passive about their health is not cutting it anymore. Some people just accept their fate. Oh man, my dad was overweight. My dad had heart disease. Yeah, give me the blood pressure, docs. Give me the blood pressure, doc. Yes, I'm on blood pressure meds for the rest of my life. I don't accept that paradigm. Yeah, I accept genetics. Like I've never told anyone to stop taking a medication that the doctor was telling them to take. But I have had several clients, one in particular who's a type 1 diabetic. When she went to her first endocrinologist appointment 6 months after having started with us, her endocrinologist got her numbers back and said, whatever you started doing, keep doing it. What are you doing? She said, I started working out twice a week, did strength training, some interval conditioning. Keep doing it. Awesome. Type 1 diabetic. Health issues ever been. She's been with us for about 2 years now. And it's with type 1 diabetes, it's type 2 is reversible. Type 1 is not. Correct? Sometimes I get those messed up. But
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, so she has the one that is not, she did not eat herself into this diabetes. It's the one that's not reversible. The goal is not to cure the diabetes for her. The goal is management. The goal is to make her as healthy as possible given that condition. So we have to integrate a system that keeps her endocrinologist happy when her numbers come back on her checkup 2 times a year. And that's what we do. You can tell when people's lives improve. And you can tell when people come in for that initial consult and they're not very happy with their life. And how different clients open up different amounts. Whatever they share, always listen. Fitness, it's fundamentally, it's a relationship business, right? What's cool to see is the direct relationship between improving their health and them feeling better and then improving other aspects of their life. But it has to be systematic. It has to be integral. I don't have people who are forsaking their career because they want to live at the gym. I price those people out. I have the people who have forsaken their health for their career. And we got to swing that pendulum back a little bit. Then I have some younger people who aren't even that deep into their career, but they have very good foresight and they know what will happen if they do not take ownership of their health. Typically, we have a lot of people who have their lives together in every way except for their health and fitness. So they need that system. Now, why does that tend to be the last piece for a lot of people? Why do people struggle to integrate a good strength training system? Why do people struggle to find a good coach? You and I, understanding the industry very well, we understand that coaches have a very high churn rate. Most coaches, in my experience, and I think there's some data on this, personal trainers, it's like an 18 to 24 month average time in the industry. People just cycle on and off like crazy. I think because the industry is young compared to other industries, there are not as many good ready-made jobs for people to step into and see solid career trajectories. I think as our industry matures, there will be much more opportunity for people to outsource the decision-making for this aspect of their health versus downloading a template online. I remember growing up and checking out bodybuilding.com for isolation splits. And now there's so much proliferation of information, that over-information, that more good coaches will emerge from the high information environment. And I think the coaches and the gym owners on the ground who can develop those types of relationships, I said on the ground, but even online, the coaches, the owners who can develop those relationships, whether online or in person, are going to have an outsized impact on people who are solution seekers, the over information and the under action. If you can be the coach who streamlines the decision making for a health and fitness system that makes people live longer, live stronger, you will create a very good job for yourself. You will turn that good job into a viable career, and you will be part of elevating the fitness industry as a whole.
Going back to that person who has the chronic pain issues, it's really preventing them from doing a lot of stuff. We touched on it a little bit by talking about the systems, right? So let's actually make this really actionable for someone. Right now, I'm going to lay out the situation where they are right now. Then you tell us where they need to go. They're in pain. It's preventing them from doing stuff. They've become cognizant of that fact that, hey, I'm either skipping out on stuff, or I've isolated myself, or maybe I'm being a burden on other people and I don't like that. But I've gone to the doctors. I've done the stretches. I've tried looking for things online. I've maybe even worked with a trainer or whatever. And I'm just not getting the answer that I need. I'm still in pain. What's that very first step that person can take to actually start to get the result and the relief that they need?
If there's someone who has been through the process of hiring a personal trainer, hiring a fitness coach, who has tried to get back into the gym on their own, and they still have some sort of pain that they cannot overcome, that would be the time to climb the physical therapy tree. But that's not good enough. Which physical therapist? Very early in our conversation, I referenced the physical therapy mill. For that person who is motivated, who is trying to take ownership of their health, but a solution seeker who has a pain problem that they cannot solve on their own and that general solutions are not cutting it for, that person needs to seek out a cash-based physical therapist. If you go to a physical therapy clinic that takes insurance, you are not the primary client, the insurance company is. Those physical therapy clinics rely on about a 1-to-4 physical therapist to patient ratio just for the numbers to work for their business model. I know this because I've worked in several of those clinics. As the minimum age physical therapy tech who was spending more time with the 4 patients than the actual physical therapist was. And it's not that the physical therapist is a bad person, it's that physical therapist is in a system that does not allow them to be as effective of a physical therapist as they could. So this is one of those cases in which I would say climb the physical therapy tree, but you want to find someone who provides one-on-one care and does not rely on insurance payouts to provide care. Incentives have to work. Their incentive has to be to get you outcomes. Their incentive cannot simply be to provide treatment that is billable because they can code it correctly for the insurance company. And like I said, I'm not making a moral judgment about any particular professional. Going back to what I said earlier, design is destiny. I'm simply analyzing the incentive structures of the provider. And at that level, it is very clear. You would rather have a provider who has more incentive to get you the outcome that you're seeking versus being insulated from the consequences of not getting your outcome, meaning that they get paid by the insurance company whether or not you get better. Find a cash-based physical therapist in your area, and you tell that physical therapist, I am looking to bridge the gap between the therapy table and the training floor. The point of my being here is not to get out of pain. Yes, I have to get out of pain, but I want more than that. Some physical therapy clinics are even turning into personal training clinics. There's an interesting gray area that's being formed. You have a lot of personal trainers like me who have worked in physical therapy clinics and gone through a lot of clinical continuing education, who know the rehab game well enough that we can modify training to solve problems that a lot of people might have had to go to physical therapy in the past to solve. And then you have a lot of physical therapists who are understanding the value of basic strength training. So a lot of physical therapists are starting to get a lot more clarity about what their clients' baselines need to be before they graduate them. I promise you, the insurance company's criteria for you graduating physical therapy is much lower than what is required for you to get back into a regular strength and conditioning regimen with your coach, with your personal trainer, or on your own. Find a cash-based physical therapist who can bridge the gap between the therapy table and the training floor and refer you to a good coach who they know and trust to take care of you once you have graduated their physical therapy.
So maybe for that person who maybe they haven't gone the personal trainer route yet and they're looking for a personal trainer, what are some of the questions that you would suggest they ask, or what are some of the things they should be looking for in a personal trainer to make sure they are getting a quality trainer that's going to help them?
Don't sign up for an 8-week challenge. The people who run 8-week challenges don't have enough clients. And they either don't have enough clients because they're just inexperienced, or because they are experienced and they can't keep. If you are looking to hire a personal trainer, if you're looking to hire a fitness coach, hire one who does a consult with you. I would also try to hire one who is not the easiest to hire. At our gym, we do a consult with everyone. The typical understanding of a consult is that potential customer is deciding whether they want to hire us. The way I view our consults is I am deciding whether I want to allow that potential customer to hire us. I view it as us as the business qualifying the customer. I don't view it as the customer qualifying the business. Find someone who has experience, ideally I wouldn't hire a personal trainer who doesn't have at least 2 years. 5 would be ideal, partly because most people fall off after 2 years. So if you have someone who has been able to work in this industry for 4 or 5 or more years, that person has probably has good client retention. And if that person has good client retention, that means that person is getting good client results. So find a personal trainer, let's say 2, minimum 2, ideally 5 years of experience. Someone whose schedule is pretty full, because that's just social proof. People want to work with this person. You want to work with the person who people want to work with. Try to find people with Google reviews. If you check out our gym, reformhp.com on Google, we have lots of Google reviews, so there's the social proof there. The more information that you can find, the more praise that you can find about any particular trainer, coach, or gym, the better. And then there should be some friction up front in your ability to hire that person. Hey, we require an in-person consult. Cool. Versus, here's a payment link. Pay it. When do you want to start? And don't hire the cheapest. The people who are the best don't compete on price. They compete on value. If you get wrapped up into the race to the bottom, and you get what you deserve. Put yourself in a position where you can hire the best, or at least not hire the worst. Yeah, and rates are going to change from state to state, from city to city. But if you're bargain hunting, I wouldn't bargain hunt for a surgeon. And I might see a surgeon once every decade. Why would you bargain hunt for the person who's going to be overseeing your frontline health and fitness system 2 to 3 days a week? You don't compete on price. Hire the best that you can afford. Make it an investment. It's not an expense. It's the most expensive thing you can do long term is be unhealthy. The problem is that the results are down the road. Never too early to start. Always too early to quit. Make it an investment. Don't hire the worst. Hire the best that you can afford.
There it is. So, Michael, if someone wants to get in touch with you, learn a little bit more about what you do, or pick up your book, Forest for the Trees, A New Paradigm for Health, Performance, and Longevity, would you get a hold of you?
We just released our book on Amazon, Forest for the Trees, and our website is reformhp.com. And if you want to get in contact with us personally, then we have info at reformhp.com. But if you go to our website, we have a link to the book there. And then we also have how to contact us for both in-person and remote training options. Contact us through that website, check out the book on Amazon, and we'll get in touch for you. Love to hear from you.
All right. Appreciate you being here today, man. Appreciate you sharing some insights with us and giving us really a little bit different perspective on why I think so many people are finding themselves stuck with this chronic pain, right? It's that hey, I've tried everything, nothing works, but the reality is the system just isn't set up well. Oh, you got to create your own systems.
Yes. Systems over goals.
Absolutely. Thanks again so much for being here, man, and appreciate it.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thanks so much for joining us today for another episode of Own Your Calendar. And again, a big thanks to our special guest today, Michael O'Neill. If you want to take the next step in overcoming your chronic pain issues, I will provide Michael's contact details in the show notes so that you can reach out to him. And if you're ready to unlock your next productivity breakthrough and transform your habits so you can have more energy and focus, I want to invite you to book a complimentary 30-minute habit breakthrough session with me. And on that call, I will help you get clarity by uncovering the hidden obstacles that are draining your time and energy, causing your work and personal life to bleed into one another. And I will give you a personalized action plan that's going to help you start to see wins from day one. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode and you know someone who is dealing with chronic pain, do them a favor and share this episode with them. Finally, if you are someone who works from home and often struggles to create a separation in those two, join me on our next episode as I'm going to give you my 2 5-minute routines that will help you to get more done when working from home. Until then, this is Stephen Box reminding you, as always, today is a great day to break free from the chaos and start living life on your terms.